Hi, I'm a 43-year-old woman. I have one daughter, 18. Her father left us when I was pregnant with her. I own a small company in interior design, and it's very successful in my country. I make a very good living. I met my husband, 55, about 8 years ago. He moved in with me 7 years ago, and we got married 2 years ago in a private ceremony. My husband has 2 children from a previous marriage, boy 20 and a girl 19. Both my stepchildren hated me and my daughter in the beginning of the relationship. When my husband asked them how they'd feel about him moving together with me, they both initially hated the idea and told him that if he did it, they would just stay permanently with their mother. After a while, my husband moved in anyway and said to them that they were welcome should they change their mind. They did, after seeing the big house with the pool and all the great accommodations. The boys started liking us gradually, and we're on great terms now. The daughter, not so much. She was horrible to me and my daughter, and one day, when she was 13 or 14, I heard her making fun of my daughter's weight and looked to her face. I was livid. I have suffered ED growing up because of teasing, so I knew how dangerous that was. I knew how my daughter must have felt, so I told my husband that stepdaughter was never allowed to live in my house again. My stepdaughter tried to apologize, and she was sobbing, but I didn't budge. I had too long of an experience with mean people that I knew it just got worse when they got confronted and had to apologize, and I wasn't going to take the risk. So she moved permanently with her mother. My initial plan was to break up actually, but this was my husband's idea. She still teased my daughter in school. They didn't go to the same high school, but my stepdaughter had friends in my daughter's class that did her bidding. I found out about all this a year ago. My daughter was embarrassed to tell us, and she thought she could manage her enemies. It broke my heart, and I felt so guilty that my baby didn't dare to confide in me. Uni is free in my country. Students often take student loans, with almost zero interest, and work part-time jobs while studying to make ends meet, but the education is free. When my stepson started uni, however, I gave him 100k euro, so he didn't have to work or anything, and just concentrate on his studies, engineering. He was so grateful, but told us that he wasn't sure he could be trusted with a large sum. So my husband is handling his money, making monthly payments. I am planning to do the same with my daughter. Stepdaughter graduated with great marks, and she started medical school this year. She asked her father about her 100k, and he came to me to ask. I was confused, because before I gifted my stepson, I asked my husband if I could do it, and the reason was because I wasn't planning on doing the same thing with my stepdaughter. He told me I could do what I wanted, and it wasn't weird at all because my stepson and I had a great relationship, and he always saw me as a second mom. He got really mad and told me that my stepdaughter had changed a lot, but it wasn't true at all. Although she wasn't living with us anymore, she made sure to make our lives a living hell every time she visited, and even got physical with me and my daughter. If she started playing nice now, it was only because there was money involved, and I knew that, and my husband knew that too. I even told him that she called me a B, and even in the phone, my number was saved under that B. He is now very angry. He hasn't talked to me in over a week. He's saying that I'm using my money to control their lives, and that he's heartbroken. If I don't have enough money for both daughters, I can split my daughter's share between them, since my daughter isn't even sure she wants to start college right away. And let's face it, she will likely never get into med school. His words. Maybe if I did it, stepdaughter would be more grateful and be closer to my daughter. I don't know what to do. I feel like I don't owe my stepdaughter anything. My daughter and I have suffered enough because of her ways. She could still do like the rest of her peers, work and take loans, and she has a bright future ahead of her. There may be some truth in his words about me using my money as a reward punishment. I am ashamed, but still defiant. I should do what I want with my money. So, your husband has been just sitting around waiting for you to pay for both his kids? What a charmer. If he wants his daughter to have 100k, then he can provide it for her. Oh wait, he can't. Then she's out of luck. Stick to your guns. I'm sure her behavior would soon revert after she got her hands on the money. Remind your husband what he said when you gave the money to your stepson. He can ask his son to share his money with his sister, or he can provide her with some money. He is basically asking you to try to buy your stepdaughter's affection, and you're saying you don't think that's a good investment with probable returns. I have now talked to both my husband and my stepdaughter, so I thought I should share it with you if you're interested. But before that, I want to say that I'm very disgusted, although not surprised, by the amount of people who actually took a mean person's side. What I wrote in my first post wasn't just one-off incidents. Anyone with more than 3 brain cells should have understood I wasn't going to write 8 years worth of bad behavior in one post, to convince B apologists to understand why I did what I did. Many also talked about how we, as parents, have failed the aggressor. I don't know how, since the other two children we raised turned out to be decent human beings with a lot of empathy for others around them. I only wish everyone who defends aggressors, or try to explain away their horrible life-scarring behavior, to never have to deal with one in their or their children's lives and feel the pain they can inflict on others. I do not regret any of my actions. I saw my stepdaughter for what she was, and I acted instinctively. Her young age played little to no role in my decision to protect my baby. My daughter was and still is my sole priority. Update. I decided that I should try to confront my stepdaughter directly instead of communicating to my husband or via text, so I asked her around for tea. She accepted immediately, which was a first. She showed up last Sunday. I sat her and my husband down, and I just bluntly asked her why she should expect any financial help from me when she hated my guts. She got defensive and said that she didn't ask me, she asked her dad. I told her that I knew she wasn't stupid, and she well knew that stepson got his gift from me and not their father. She said, "What's the difference? You're married." I told her the difference is that stepson treated me and my daughter as family, while she always hated us, teased her little sister even in high school. She was shocked here. She didn't know I have found out about the high school aggression. And I asked her if she would give money to someone she knew hated her half of the amount she hated me, and why then she expected me to do that. She started crying and apologizing, etc. I told her I wasn't the one she should be apologizing to. I told her that I wished her great success and happiness, but that I won't be helping her financially throughout her education. My husband was silent the whole time. When she left, I told him to never compare our daughters again, making my daughter to be the inferior one, just because she wasn't as academically successful as her stepsister. I trust my daughter, and I want her to be happy, and if she wants to study in a less prestigious school, so be it. Her happiness is the most important thing to me, and I didn't appreciate him dragging her and comparing her to others when none of what happened has anything to do with her. He tried to apologize and told me he just wanted to help his daughter. I told him he's free to do that however he wanted, just not on my daughter's expense. We have been civil to each other ever since, although he's a bit cold towards me, but hopefully just ashamed of the whole episode. I will give him some space, because honestly, I need some myself to think things over. Being that your husband controls the money you set aside for your stepson, I imagine he will start using that money to give to his daughter too. Good for you, OP. Your daughter and stepson are so fortunate to have someone so considerate and level-headed as a mother figure. You owe no one anything, so for someone to assume they can help themselves to your hard-earned money is foolish. Don, 43, and I, 40, got divorced 5 years ago. Our daughter, Ashley, 12, is very good friends with his new wife's daughter, Taylor, 13. We all get along fairly well. We live in the same school district, and since the girls are close in age, they often hang out and sometimes have same friends. Don recently got a promotion and salary jump. I don't know how much it is, hence why I put rich in quotes. But I do know in the last year, they've started household renovations, bought a new car, and been treating Taylor to new goodies. The salary increase lined up with Taylor starting middle school, so she got to reinvent herself and now owns some luxury items, like a Louis Vuitton pouch, nicer brand backpacks, etc. Ashley got none of these, and she's also now in middle school. There is a visible difference between Ashley and Taylor's dress and belongings. I wouldn't mind, except for the fact that Ashley is feeling isolated, less loved, and resentful towards both me and her father. Ashley says the kids ask her why their father doesn't get her the same things, and she no longer enjoys being around Taylor because it makes her feel bad. She asked me to have her class schedule changed so their lunches don't match up because she feels inferior. She became increasingly less social and spent more time online instead of going out. Again, with mutual friends of Taylor. Ashley still lives well, and obviously expensive goodies for a child is a little questionable, but when you have one father, one biological daughter, and one stepdaughter, and the stepdaughter is being treated better, you can't blame a child for feeling bad. We also live in an upper-middle-class neighborhood, so brand items aren't uncommon among schools, and when you have them, you're more popular. So one sister having them, and the other not, is also causing a change in how they're both treated. I told Don this, and he told me Ashley will get her turn, and told me to stop pressing the issue. I cannot afford these items for her alone. I don't know how to handle this, or even bring it up to Don. Don's new wife is a teacher, so it certainly isn't her income that's allowing for these treats. I've mentioned before to not forget about Ashley when it comes to treats and goodies, and she says, of course, but then doesn't really deliver. How do I console Ashley, justify his actions to her other than he loves her less? Her words. How do I speak to Dawn about it? Honestly, I think you need to stand up for your daughter. Tell her dad straight up what this is doing to his daughter and how it's affecting her emotionally. Don't sugarcoat. Don't make this about the money. Make it about how he's making his daughter feel. It may not change anything, but you need to make him aware. Beyond that, remind Ashley you love her and she is important and amazing regardless of her possessions. That she is your number one, and nothing will change that. My husband, 52 male, and I, 46 female, have been married for 10 years. My stepdaughter is 22 female. My husband was in a very aggressive relationship with his late wife. She was physically and emotionally aggressive. He was stuck in the vicious cycle, and he would never have gotten out as they already had a child. She passed away due to an accident, and he was slowly able to piece himself and his life back together. His daughter was 3 when her mother passed, and has no major memories of her mother. She did, however, spend a lot of her time with her maternal grandparents. She has naturally put her mother on a pedestal, and thinks she was a great person. My husband also painted a pleasant picture of her mother. It was something that he was not comfortable with, but he felt there was no reason she should know what a horrible person her mother was. My stepdaughter and I had a good relationship. We are friendly, and she knows that I care deeply about her. She lost her job due to the dang virus, and she had to move back in. Her grandparents had given her a bunch of stuff that belonged to her mother, and among them is a cute family photo. I think it is the only picture with all 3 of them together. She wanted to place it in our living room. We have allowed her to redecorate the living room and the rest of the house before, so it was not an outlandish request. Husband firmly refused to allow the picture in the living room. She is very stubborn and has tried to single us out and get her way. My husband was increasingly uncomfortable, and he told me he has trauma attached to the specific picture, and he didn't know how to handle it. My husband had to travel for work last week, and he will be away for at least a week. She thought I was the reason behind the refusal, and started to take shots at me. It was really frustrating. She had never behaved this way before. She was always very kind and loving, even when she didn't get her way before. During lunch, she asked me if it was hard to be in a relationship with a widower, and if I got insecure about not being my husband's true love. It was a really ugly thing to say, and it shocked me, and infuriated me. I shouted that I had no reason to be insecure about his relationship with an aggressive a-hole. She screamed back that I was lying and went into her room. She has been very distant, and she is not speaking to me. My husband was a bit mad, but he did understand it was a messed up situation, and he would have probably reacted the same way. I feel bad. I was the adult in the room. I should have been the one to de-escalate and calm it down. I also feel like crap for revealing something that we had planned to keep secret. I am panicking a little. My husband will not be returning till next Monday, and I do not know how to handle this situation. We have never had a huge fight before, and I have usually been a calm person. This is really stressing me out. I do not want our relationship to be permanently damaged by this. I know that it will be hard for her to process this, and I regret my words already. Looks like it is time for the truth. Obviously, it should be your husband who tells her, but at the same time, your stepdaughter might force the issue during the time he is away. Sucks. So I'd recommend reaching out to your husband and saying exactly that. The time has come. The issue has been forced. It's his job, but he's not here. I, 27 male, and my wife, 25 female, were recently at a family gathering. So we were playing Truth or Dare after dinner, and it was my turn. I don't like doing dares, so I chose Truth. So my sister-in-law, 20 female, asked me if your mom and your wife were hanging off a cliff, and you can only save one, who would you save, and who would you let die? This is an extremely tough question, and I couldn't choose one. My mom, 55 female, was also in the room. So I answered, I'd do my best to try to save both of them, and we laughed it off. But after we got home, I thought about the question a lot. What if I had to choose one and had no other choice? After thinking about it for some time, I decided that I would save my mom, because she was the one who gave me birth in the first place. I wrote it down in my private diary. I like to write down all significant things that happen in my private diary. It was a lock system, so nobody can open it without a key. But suddenly, I got a phone call, and I decided to take it. I kept my diary open on my desk because I was going to continue writing after. But my wife, after finding my diary open, read what I had written. She then got extremely pissed at me for writing that. I tried to explain, but she wouldn't hear me out and said maybe I should have married my mom instead of marrying her. I got angry and asked her what she would do if it was me and her mom hanging off a cliff. But she didn't answer my question. She hasn't talked to me after that and making me feel like an a-hole. But I am also angry at her for invading my privacy and reading my private diary. So my question is, am I the a-hole for writing in my private diary that I would choose to save my mom over my wife? Edit. For those wondering, my wife knows what my private diary looked like. I don't think this scenario would ever happen, and I'm not saying I would kill my wife just to save my mom. Also, I don't have kids. Yes, the a-hole. You made vows to your wife, not your mother. And sickness and health, till death do us part. Did you pay attention while getting married, or... Well, in this case, death would have parted them, and OP could live happily ever after with his mother. Yes, the a-hole. You're naturally going to outlive your mother, eventually. But you're supposed to do everything in your power to protect the new family you're creating, aka your wife. Everyone sucks here. Your wife should not have read your journal. That's private, and you have a right to your own thoughts and feelings. Your sister should not have asked a question where the answer would hurt feelings in relationships whichever way it was answered. Your wife should be sure that she is your first priority in life, as you should be her first priority. That's what marriage is, and that's what makes you strong together. Your wife now knows that she is your second priority, maybe your third or fourth. That's not good. As a mother, I would be very sad if my children put me in first place over their own families. I raised them better than that.